On this episode of the Pipeline Podcast, we have new information about the upcoming Karate Kid movie, massive casting for Superman Legacy, and we are finally going to be talking about the Marvels. Without further ado, let's get into it. On this episode of the Pipeline Podcast. Sorry. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Pipeline. I'm your host today, Daren Mcclimans, and I am joined with very special guest, Logan from Diamond Spider Productions. Logan, how are you today? How's it going?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
I am good. I'm so happy to have you on here. We were talking about we were talking about a little bit previously how I've seen you on the social medias for several years now, and I've always loved how positive you are about so many things that you love, right? We talk about this on here a lot, but this industry that we talk about a lot can be very toxic. It can be very downing. A lot of people hate things they love, so it's very fun to see people love the things that they do love. So again, thank you for coming on here, and I'm very excited to talk about this movie that just came out, The Marvels, which you've been very excited for a very long time, right?
Mm-hmm. For year and a half, probably about. I've been just nonstop very excited about this movie. The fact that it's finally here is just kind of bizarre.
Sure, 100%. Yeah, no, I mean, it does feel very weird that it's out because this was one of the movies post Endgame that was kind of announced to come out, and it's feels like we've been waiting a very long time to even just get a trailer for it. So the fact that it's officially out, people have seen it. It's kind of strange to think about that it's here already.
Yeah, it's wild.
100%. But yeah, we're gonna jump kind of right into today's episode. This will be a shorter episode than normal, y'all. But we do have a couple of news stories. Some major stuff kind of came out during the week. Of course, we'll talk about the movie in a little bit. But let's jump into a couple of news stories here. First up here, I don't know if you're a fan of the Karate Kid franchise at all, but massive news for the Karate Kid franchise came yesterday. Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan will both be returning for the upcoming Karate Kid film. Is this a franchise that do you have any history with this franchise? Is this a franchise that you enjoy?
So I've seen the movie a long time ago.
Okay.
Only once, and then I saw the reboot once as well.
Okay.
I liked it. I don't remember it all that much. I remember parts of the iconic parts and stuff, but it's been a while. I should revisit it.
Yeah, no, that's completely fine. And it seems like you watched the two that might be most important to this conversation, because we have the original Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio, obviously, and then we have Jackie Chan, which was part of the reboot continuity, I guess. And it seems like we are bringing this together. Obviously, we don't have to talk about this for too long, but this has kind of been something that me as a massive fan of the franchise, massive fan of Cobra Kai, the series, this was kind of something that we're it'd be kind of I wonder if we'll ever bring in Jackie Chan or if we'll ever bring in Jaden Smith. And we were kind of under the assumption that Cobra Kai was kind of the end of the franchise in a way, but it seems like it might just be starting, and we might just be doing more with the franchise, which is very insane. Do you have any thoughts on this at all, just as kind of like someone who hasn't seen the movies for a while, who's kind of looking at this from an outside source?
I think it's neat. I like it when they can bring back franchises like this. Mm-hmm. When they did that with Star Wars and stuff like that. So I'm sure there are a lot of fans, because Cobra Kai was very popular. I've been meaning to get around to watching it. So just bringing back this franchise is clearly an audience for it. So it's exciting.
Mm. Yeah, no, I'm very excited. And again, as a massive fan of Cobra Kai, I was very nervous about this movie because obviously a big fan of it. And they were saying how this was going to go back to the roots of Karate Kid. And we're just okay, that sounds cool, but that's what Cobra Kai is. Are you going to retcon Cobra Kai to make this movie? Is it going to be part of like the reboot continuity? And from the sounds of it, what we're hearing is kind of like all of the above. It's going to connect to the original movies, the Cobra Kai show, and then also the reboot, kind of bringing it all together. They're now calling this the like Miyagi verse, which is a weird. I feel like this is a weird franchise to put verse on. Like that's a whole nother talk, I think, about like our uses of like cinematic universes and like, you know, but I am very excited that we are still doing stuff with this franchise. Obviously, I don't want to linger on this too much because I know you're not as big on this franchise, so that's completely fine. But I am very curious to get some more news on this, to get more information, to see where we are going with the future of the Cobra Kai franchise. And I'm excited for season 6 of a Cobra Kai as well, which comes out hopefully next year. We'll see. I have no idea. Yeah, let's move on to like the other kind of big news. And yeah, we don't have too many news stories today to talk about, but we couldn't escape without talking about the massive new Superman Legacy casting. Obviously, the strike is officially over, right? Relatively over now. And we knew that, I mean, we had a bunch of casting pre-strikes as well, but we knew once the strike was over, James Gunn would have a lot of castings to announce. Before we get into each of these castings, are you excited for Superman Legacy?
Yeah, I'm a little like cautiously optimistic for it because I wasn't like super sure. Like I love James Gunn's work, but I wasn't super sure if he would be like the best fit for a Superman movie. But he seems to like know his stuff. He seems pretty passionate about it and excited about it. And so far, like he's been casting it pretty well too. So like, I hope it's a good Superman movie. We haven't had a Superman movie in so long. We kind of need one.
I 100% agree. I love Superman. Superman's my guy for real. And I'm, again, like this has been a long journey. Like they announced this back in January. It's kind of crazy actually how fast they've been moving since then. Like in the world of comic book movies now, sometimes it's hard to like remember you can just make a movie and put it out. Like with a lot of these MCU movies and DC, the past of like the DCEU, they take years and years and years to even get off the ground because of like behind the scenes drama and production stuff and COVID and strikes. And it's crazy to see like, oh yeah, they're just making this movie. Like it's coming out like relatively soon. Obviously we do have a couple years to wait still. They haven't started filming or anything, but the way they're moving along is very fun to see. But first up here, we have Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Thoughts on this casting? Because this was kind of rumored back, you know, like back when they were casting Superman. Nicholas Hoult was obviously up for Superman. Like he cast, he auditioned for Superman. He also auditioned for Batman a couple years ago. Thoughts on him being our new Lex Luthor?
First of all, I think it's so funny that he got passed up on Superman and now he's coming to play Lex Luthor. That just like, there's going to be some genuine hatred in there, which is going to be great. But yeah, I think it's cool. I'm excited to have Lex Luthor again. I just hope they don't give him hair like they have been. Like, just let him be bald from the start.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I was a big fan when it was like rumored, like when he was like going as Superman, like it was first like rumored that he was going to be Lex. I was like, oh, I really like this, and then it's like, actually, no, it's for Superman. I was like, Superman? I don't know if I see this. I don't know if I see him as Superman. I love the actor. I don't know if I see him as Superman. Kind of like Lex more, and I'm glad that it's his now. And I definitely see the like spoiled brat in him, the like evil mastermind inside of him. I don't know if that's a very flattering thing to say about an actor, but like I see it in him and I could see him pulling that out. Obviously he's such a great actor. I've seen him in so many other movies. He was great as Beast. He plays in The Like Menu and so many other movies that I like. What direction do you think this movie's going to take with this Lex Luthor? Do you think they're going to go the more Smallville route, more Batman v Superman route, where he's kind of like already a villain? Where do you think we're going to go with him?
I'm not sure. I hope that he isn't like the main villain of the movie, because if they're planning, they're clearly planning like a whole franchise with this because it's the start of the new DCU. So I don't want them to like use him as like the main antagonist too quickly, because there's so many other Superman villains that like they need to get to that haven't had a cinematic appearance. Like Parasite would be cool, or Brainiac has been teased or like rumored forever, so it'd be nice to finally see him done. with Superman, because I guess there was at the Krypton show they had Brainiac there.
Yeah.
But so yeah, but I do think that Lex should be in like almost every Superman movie, just because he's such an important character to the mythos of Superman. So that's like the capacity that I'd like to see him used as like a supporting antagonistic role, kind of like in, if you've seen the Superman Man of Tomorrow animated movie, where he's like an antagonist, but he's not like the main antagonist. Like that's the kind of size role I wouldn't mind seeing him have in this.
Yeah, no, I've said for a while, like, again, I love Lex, and he's a villain that personally, like, I think a lot of people are tired of, like, the Lex Luthor character. I feel like I never get tired of seeing Lex. Like, I feel like each performer plays Lex so drastically different that they all just feel like different characters. Like, if it's Michael Rosenbaum, if it's John Cryer, if it's even Jesse Eisenberg, which I know a lot of people don't like him, but he's so drastically different than any other Lex Luthor. And yeah, I'm so excited to see kind of like how he plays the role, what they kind of give him to work with. And I do agree, I don't want him to be the main villain. I think Lex kind of fits in that category of like, yeah, he is a villain, but maybe he's not always the villain. Again, I would love if they went the Smallville route where they start off as friends and then we slowly get to see them go down the path of like enemies. I think that's always a fun route to go in. But we'll definitely have to see. All right. Actually, I do want to bring up this comment. Kai said it's kind of like Thor and Loki with Tom Hiddleston went out for Thor but got Loki. 100%. Yeah, that. And I feel like they're going to talk about this a lot. Like when press comes around, they're going to talk about, oh, I almost got Superman, but I got Lex Luthor. Like they're definitely going to prop that up.
Yeah, he's probably going to get tired of hearing about it.
Oh, 100%. Next year we have Skylar as Jimmy Olsen. Now this was also rumored pre-strikes. It was like he had like followed him on like Instagram or something, and like everyone was like, oh my gosh, he's like Jimmy Olsen. Now I do know there's been a little bit of controversy the last 24 hours or so with this actor. I don't want to speak on that too much because I feel like I'm still kind of in the dark on a lot of that. But what are your thoughts on this actor as Jimmy Olsen?
So I don't know if I've really seen him in all that much. But I'm just so happy to have Jimmy Olsen back in a movie. Yeah. Because the last time we had that was technically Batman versus Superman, and I don't even want to get into that. I enjoy that movie, but Jimmy Olsen deserved better. And there's been like so many like debates online ever since like they announced that Jimmy Olsen was even going to be in this movie about whether people care about Jimmy Olsen or not. But I think that he is one of the most important aspects of the Superman. Like he's like the third most important side character to Superman behind Lois Lane and Lex Luthor. So to have him back is just so nice. I'm very excited to see what they do with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think people don't care about him because we haven't seen him. Like, not really. Like, again, Batman v Superman, I like aspects of that movie, but I will never forgive them what they did with Jimmy Olsen. Like, why? I don't know why they would do that. Like, Supergirl had a Jimmy Olsen.
Ultimate cut. Like, the Ultimate Cut's the only place that they actually acknowledge that was even supposed to be Jimmy Olsen. Otherwise, he's just there, and then he dies.
Yeah, and then the like Supergirl show did a Jimmy Olsen, but it was not really Jimmy Olsen. It was a James Olsen, and he was really nothing like the Jimmy Olsen that we know. And then the like newest Superman show has had him, and it felt like everyone loved him. And I think that's proof of like,
Superman.
Yeah, like he needs to be in more stuff. Like put him in more. And I'm ready for people to fall in love. Like he does kind of feel like the good old buddy of Superman. I think he'll fit that role very well. Again, I don't know what's happening with the controversies. I've heard a lot of people be pretty upset about it, so we'll see if anything happens there, if he keeps the role, or if he I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll definitely see. We have Sarah, I'm not going to pronounce his name right, Sempala Eve, Sempala is going to be playing Eve Tessmacher, which I know from the Supergirl show, and then also I think Young Justice, I think I know her from. I'll be honest, I like these next two, I'm not an expert on these characters. I think you read more comics than I do. Is Eve Tessmacher a character that you know like super well?
I read Flash comics for DC. I love Superman, but when I read comics, I usually sit down with the Flash.
Sure.
But yeah, I have no idea who this character is.
Okay.
You said she was in Supergirl. I should
Yeah, she
keep
was.
watching that. I've watched the first like 2 seasons of Supergirl, and then
Okay.
I fell off, which I hate that I fell off because I love
Yeah.
Melissa Benoist and I love Supergirl. So
Mhm.
I've been meaning to get back into it, but at this point, I'm just gonna restart it. It's been years since I've even seen it.
Mhm.
But James Gunn always loves to take like more obscure characters and
Yeah.
like boost them up, which I have mixed feelings about with this DC universe. But this I'm excited about just because he usually does a good job with them, and this is like they're going to be a supporting role in a Superman movie, so like
Sure.
it's going to be cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with these characters, who I have no idea who they are.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. And I mean, yeah, that's why I'm so excited for like the DCU. Like, we're starting off with Creature freaking Commandos, which
Mhm.
I don't know who any of those guys are. I'm excited to learn.
Weasel.
Yeah, like Tessmacher, at least from the Supergirl show, she was always kind of just like the assistant of like Lex Luthor. So
Mhm.
I'm going to assume that's what she's doing here. Maybe I don't know.
That
Maybe
makes
she's
sense.
just, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I bet she does some cool stuff in the comics where she's like, oh, she actually turned into a robot. Or I don't know. I don't know what they're doing in the comics.
Lex Luthor does that, so why not her too?
Yeah, 100%. And then we have, I'm not even gonna try her name, Maria, her last name. She's been casted as the engineer for the authorities. Now, we had heard that the authorities were going to be in this movie a while
That's
ago, and a lot of people were upset with this casting because everyone thought she was going to be like the main villain of the movie. That doesn't seem to be the case. She's more of this anti-hero. Thoughts on just like, do you have any kind of thoughts on the like authority stuff? Do you have any history with those characters at all?
Nope. I know
Same way,
absolutely
same
nothing
way.
about the authorities too. Like most of my knowledge for the DC
Yeah.
universe is around the Flash.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, the authorities is prime example of like, no idea who those are, but I'm happy to learn. I'm happy to find out when they appear
Guardians of
on
the
screen.
Galaxy.
Yeah,
I
100%.
had no idea who those guys were before the movie, and now Rocket Raccoon is one of my favorite fictional characters of all time. So we'll
He's
see
so
what happens
good.
with the authorities.
Yeah, he's so good. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. Obviously, I'm curious because like we've heard several members are in the movie. I don't know if the whole team is in the film, so I'm going to be very curious to see because again, there's been it seems like there's a lot of things going on in this movie. Like we have Lex, we have the JSA, we have the authorities, we have like there seems to be several different avenues for going down in this film. So I'm very curious to see how they kind of all fall into place as we get more casting and as we get more news, how everything kind of fits into place.
I'm getting a little nervous that it might be a little overstuffed, but James Gunn is good with ensemble cast, and it seems like he's making every project he does an ensemble cast. So I trust him. Well, I hope it's good. I really need a good Superman movie right about now.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I mean that's definitely something I've thought about. I'm gonna be curious how he goes about it. And again, like the Guardians have a lot of these like kind of side characters that just kind of like pop in. Like Howard the Duck is in those movies, but like he's not in those movies, right? So I don't know how much. Like there's a lot of characters like that are just kind of there for a section of the movie, and I think. Again, I do think some people are a little overreacting when it comes to like, oh, it's not even going to be a Superman movie. I think it's still going to be a Superman movie.
It's definitely still going to be a Superman movie.
Yeah. I'm just very curious, and I'll be honest, man. I'm just really happy to get more DCU news. Like like these last several months, for this podcast, it's just been so much Marvel, like Marvel drama, like week after week. It's nice to get some DC news again. It's nice to have something.
It's nice to have something to be excited for with DC.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm so. How many years straight was it just like this person got canceled and this thing's not happening anymore and this movie's bombing? It's so frustrating, and I'm so excited to have just like universe to look forward to.
I hope it's good. They have a lot of a long road, uphill battle to get to because people have like fallen off of DC. Like they can't make money anymore. So hopefully Superman can save the day like he always does.
Yeah, oh man, I think this movie's going to do well. Like there's people saying that it's not going to make a lot of money, and that could be true. I don't know. But I think
I genuinely don't know.
It could go either way.
Track record, like if like they couldn't get the Flash with Michael Keaton as Batman to make them money, it's like I hope Superman can save them. It would be nice.
I think what also hurt Flash is when it came out. Like there was so much coming out last June.
Oh yeah,
that was last June.
That was
It
a
was
huge
crazy.
like month even. There were like
Yeah.
7 movies out that I went to see. It's like
Yeah,
crazy.
it was a lot. So I also think it helps. I think the way James Gunn is actually going about it is very smart. I think the way he's like slowly patterning out the news he's putting out to kind of slowly hype people up. I think if he can keep that up over the next year and a half until it comes out. I also think it helps that there's not going to be very much DC next year at all. Like it's Joker 2 and that's it for the movie. So hopefully that like year and a half break from DC movies, then this coming back, I think could very much help them. So
And then we got Batman and Superman in the same year. That's good.
yes.
Like, if they are gonna make money any year, it's gonna be that year because like the Batman, super popular, did pretty well. Yeah. Superman, their flagship character outside of Batman, depends on who you ask at DC, who's their most important character. Like both of those should be able to make them some money. If they don't, then DC's truly dead.
Yeah, I'm also. I mean, 2025. I'm very. I don't mean to get like too off track here, but like Marvel has a lot coming out, DC has a lot coming out. Yeah. Just every studio because everything's like nothing's really coming out next year. Everything's gonna get pushed to 2025. Like we're gonna have a Captain America, a Superman, a Batman. We got the new like Avatar, the Airbender movie coming out. Like every Blade is supposed to come out. Fantastic Four. Like there's so much coming out that year.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared of 2025 being a little overstuffed. I think we need to spread some stuff out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried.
Especially going from next year Marvel, we only got Deadpool, and then that's it for movies. And then the year after that, we're like, okay, back into it. 4 movies.
Yep,
like,
yep.
Crazy.
It's gonna be an interesting year for sure. But yeah, Superman casting. I'm excited. I'm expecting we're getting a Perry White casting soon, and we've also heard rumors of like a Sam Lane potentially. So I would expect to get that really, really soon. I'm actually kind of shocked we didn't get it already. Like I would have expected like a Perry White before a test
especially with Jimmy Olsen. Like I'd expect them to come out like around the same time their announcements.
100%. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, let's kind of move into a kind of our main topic today. Reason I had you here today, and that's to talk about the Marvels, which came out about 2 weeks ago. By this point, the MCU's newest film, the last film in a while. It's the last MCU film until July.
June, July. I don't remember exactly when it was.
July, I think it's like the end of July. Obviously, this is a movie where you have said you were very excited. What was your kind of feelings kind of just going into this movie? Like before you had even seen it, what were you kind of feeling?
Well, I was excited because I've liked all the appearances of all 3 of these characters previously. Like I'm one of the few Captain Marvel defenders. I really enjoy that movie. I know it's not perfect, but nothing is. So I also really love Brie Larson, just like in general as a person and also as an actress. So I was excited to see her get to continue her story and hopefully get a little bit more like emotional range because she had some decent stuff in Captain Marvel, in my opinion. But like, they could have pushed her character a little bit more. And I was hoping that they were going to do that with the Marvels. And then Monica, like she was good in the first one. She was just like a comedic relief side character in Captain Marvel. But then in WandaVision, we got to see her all grown up. And WandaVision is one of my favorite projects Marvel has done so far. I was just like hooked on it the entire time. And Monica was great in it. And her just, she really got me excited for the Marvels as well, seeing that they were going to be in there together. And then we got Kamala, who is like my favorite character ever. Before her show, I knew very little about her. I knew like the basics. I knew her powers, and I knew like that she existed and what her suit looked like and stuff. And I had played the Avengers game that came out before her show, right? Yeah,
I think so.
I think so. Time gets weird. The last few years,
I think it was very close together. I think it was before though.
I think it was slightly before. So I knew her in that, and then. So I watched her show. I was starting to get excited as I saw the trailers. It looked like it was going to be fun. And then I saw it, and I immediately just like fell in love with the character and fell in love with Iman Vellani and just everything about it. And then that got me to be like, once the series was over, I was like, okay, I need to read these comics because like I feel like I've been missing something very important.
Yeah.
So then I went and read all of her comics and just became even more obsessed. And that's what really got me excited for the Marvels. And then just hearing director Nia DaCosta talking about like everything with like her vision of it and like her passion for the comics, and hearing all like the stories of them working together in making the movie, it just, everything just got me really, really excited. So I had like somewhat high expectations. And then I started to get scared once the movie was like getting close, because I'm like, oh my God, I built this movie up so much that now it's actually coming out. And what if I don't like it? What if I hate it? Like, I don't want that. So I was very excited, but also a little bit scared.
I was definitely there. I mean, I've been so scared for not even the movie itself, but just like the culture around this movie for years now. I mean, obviously, I should have prefaced this earlier. Like, if anyone comes in, this is a very positive place. Like, this, like, my channel is I never want to be a place of like toxicity. So obviously, everyone, like, anyone that comes in and wants to chat about the movie, you're welcome here. But please keep it positive. Please keep it respectful to our opinions and also these actresses that play the movie. But like, the culture around this movie and these characters and just any female character at all breaks my heart so much. And I think there are valid criticisms for this movie, but
sure.
I feel like a lot of the valid criticisms aren't the criticisms that people are making about the movie. It's like, that's weird. Talk about the things that maybe are an actual issue. So,
and a lot of the stuff I've been having to fight for this movie a lot recently, and it's been very difficult sometimes just because of the sheer volume of toxic negativity that I've had to deal with. I've had to mute like 3 posts that blew up talking about this movie in the last like 4 days.
Sure.
But it's just, I kind of lost my train of thought, which isn't good.
Oh, sorry.
It's been a lot, but like a lot of the criticisms, I found it. A lot of the criticisms about the movie have been like a lot of like subjective things that people are saying that this is bad, and if you like this, then you have an incorrect opinion and you can't speak on anything. And it's just been frustrating because like, I don't think that this movie deserves a lot of the hate that it gets, because a lot of it is just people who have already made up their minds before even going into the movie. They're like, I'm gonna hate this movie because of Brie Larson's in it and whatever, and they never went and saw it, or they did go to see it with like a negative mindset, and then they just couldn't enjoy it because they'd already made up their minds.
Again, it's a very weird culture, and I feel like the MCU culture as a whole, I'll be honest, I hate the Marvel fan base so much currently. Like, obviously there's some great ones, and I love talking to people about the stuff they love and stuff that they don't love. Like, it's totally okay not to like things. That's fine. But I feel like, and I felt this about a lot of the recent MCU movies, it's like you have to pick a side. It's like you have to love everything about the movie, or you have to hate everything about the movie. And I'm kind of like in the middle. It was like, hey, there's things I really, really loved, and there's some things I didn't love so much, and that's all right. I can talk about how much I like this movie, and also be like, hey, maybe the pacing could have been a little bit better. Like, those are things I'm allowed to do. So I don't know. It's a weird movie. Right off the bat, like it's like it's in the title. It's kind of my main takeaways. I think it's most people's that like the movie's takeaway is this movie is so much fun. I had such a good time in a theater watching a movie. Was that what your takeaway was that what your takeaway was going to be, kind of going into movie? Like, what was your kind of like takeaway after seeing the film?
Yeah, so going in, I fully expected to have like a good time with it. That was the main thing I was expecting from it, and I think it delivered. Like, previously with the like Miss Marvel show, like I had so much fun with that, and I was just hoping that they could keep that energy, especially with Kamala, into the Marvels. So then the trailers made it look really fun, like the switching places, like that premise is so fun and creative for, like, especially for like the fight scenes and stuff. And I think that they delivered on that pretty well. Like, I had a big smile on my face like the entire time. Yeah. And I like was dying laughing at many parts of the movie, especially with like the Khan family. They were like, I didn't expect them to be in it as much as they were.
Yeah,
like, I thought they
I
were
was
just going to be
shocked.
at the beginning and the end, but no, they were like throughout almost as big of a role as Fury even, and just they had me dying at almost everything they said.
Yeah, I really like the swapping of powers. I think that's something that, or I guess not swapping of powers, but like swapping of places when using the powers. That's a plot for a superhero movie I've never seen before. Like that is something, like we talk about how we need to do new things with superhero movies and comic book films. I've never seen a movie where every time you use your powers, you swap places with another person. Like that is such a fun idea and such a fun concept. And I do sometimes wish maybe we could have seen a little bit more of it, or maybe them use that a little bit more within the film, but it's a very short film. I understand that they had a lot of things to do within the film. I thought, just as far as like the fight scenes go, it was so much fun how they were able to use this gimmick, if you, I don't like using that word, but like this gimmick to have it's a gimmick. It's kind of yeah, but like using that to have some really fun fight scenes, like that first one on like the ship with like Nick Fury, I thought was so good. That was really really fun.
Yeah, and I love how they used it both to like show how like out of sync they were at the start, and then how they like get more in sync. Because like I remember on the can't remember the name of the planet, but the one where they all sing. There was one part where Monica and Carol were both like getting ready to fire their blasts at the villain whose name escapes me right now. But then they both did it at the same time, so they swapped, and then they ended up aiming the opposite ways and like shot like they both missed, and that was just like such a fun way to use that, and it was funny.
Yeah.
And then later on they like have their little training montage, and then they get like in sync, and then suddenly they're able to like switch like purposefully, and that's like really cool because it led to some really creative fight scenes, like especially at the end.
100%. Yeah. What was your so I've been kind of trying to avoid the internet's kind of overall opinion on this movie for the most part. Can't avoid it all. While that singing scene was happening, in my head I was like, oh, people are going to hate this. People are going to pick this apart. What was your opinion on that? Because I thought that was a lot of fun. I thought that was really, really like a fun sequence.
I loved it. I love musicals and I love singing.
Same.
So like I was really looking forward to that when it was announced that kind of a thing was going to happen. I was slightly disappointed that we didn't get to hear Monica and Kamala sing as well, because I was kind of wanting that too. But Brie Larson has such a great voice, and she got to sing, and it was great. And she was dressed as a princess, and like I knew that people were going to hate it, but I don't care. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, no, I mean she was a literal Disney princess, and she looked great. Like I thought it was a lot of fun. I didn't even know it was happening. I hadn't heard that there was a singing thing in the movie. Maybe it's just because
there were like rumors that they had cut the singing scene, and I was like so disappointed in that. But no, they couldn't have cut it. It was too important. So I think they cut it down a bit, which is I'm hoping that on the Disney Plus release or the physical release they have some of those deleted scenes, because I would very much like to see that, and I would like to see if they actually did let Kamala and Monica sing, because I would very much like to see that.
Yeah, I do think it's a thing where, again, I love that scene, but I do think maybe if it went on too long, it could have been a thing where I was like, okay, this gag is going on. Like I know a lot of MCU movies do that, whereas like that was a good joke. Okay, we're keep doing this joke over and over again, like Thor: Love and Thunder. Like they have the goats over and over and over again. It's like, okay, all right, the first time we don't have to keep doing it. So I do appreciate how they did the joke. It was really good. It was a nice sequence, and then kind of move on from it. And I think that's actually the thing that this movie does very well with its comedy. Because again, MCU comedy, I like some of it. I don't like some of it, but I do think like this is a genuinely really fun, like funny movie. Like the jokes, most of the jokes really land for me, and they don't stay on one joke. They do the joke and then they move on from it. So I appreciate that. Were you a fan of like the comedy in this movie? You like talked about it a little bit already, but like overall, was that something that like you enjoyed?
Yeah, again, I was like dying throughout like all the movie. Like anytime like the Khan family spoke, or like Kamala was like, she carried the movie for me, which is what I expected. But like her little, oh captain, my captain, like that kind of stuff just like killed me.
I love, man, the scene with the Flurkins, and they're running through and they're eating the people.
The Flurkins.
And they're just like, You have to let the Flurkins eat you. There, you will be okay. I was dying in the theater. It's so funny.
And when
Oh
like
my
Kamala
god.
makes the wall to like trap them in, she's like, "I'm sorry," and then the Flurkin just shows up, just like, and they treated it like a horror film sometimes, where like you wouldn't know where the Flurkin was, and then they turn the corner and suddenly there's a Flurkin, and then they look away and they're back and there's like two, and then just it was so well done. It was so funny. It was one of the best parts of the movie. I was dying throughout that entire part.
It was really, really good. I was curious how they were going to use the Flurkins in this movie, because that was a big part of their marketing for the movie, which I loved. I love the Flurkins. Love Goose. He was pregnant in this movie, and there was like 1,000 Flurkins, and it's like, oh, okay, that's really, really fun. We'll I do want to talk about like each character and kind of what they were doing in this movie for a little bit. Let's start with Nick Fury though, because I feel like when I first kind of came out of the theater, I don't think I loved what they did with Nick Fury, and I think now that it's sat with me a little bit, now I'm like, okay, you know what? I kind of do. What are your thoughts on like Nick Fury and kind of his role in this film?
So I like it when they make Nick Fury comedic,
Yeah.
because Samuel L. Jackson is just such a funny person,
He's really funny.
and like he's got like a natural charm to him that like leads well into that kind of stuff. So like I kind of wish we would have had a little bit more of Fury, honestly.
Yeah.
But like pairing him with the Khan family just led to so many great moments that
Really
I
funny.
liked it a lot. But yeah, he probably could use a little bit more screen time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a big adjustment from Secret Invasion, which was his last
Yeah,
appearance.
that show just did not matter, did it? Like,
No,
at all.
no, and Secret Invasion was a thing. I loved
it. Like he's in space at the beginning, and then he goes back into space at the end, and then he's in space for this. Like he didn't need to come down for that.
No, I don't. Like I like in certain aspects I really loved what they were doing with Nick Fury in that show, but then they really dropped the ball really, really hard at the end. And
yeah, I enjoyed bits of it. Like anytime Talos was on screen, I was happy. But like they just kind of, it was disappointing.
100%.
Would have been so much more.
Yeah, it's weird. Like Secret Invasion really, and I assume we'll get back to the scroll stuff at some point. But like
on a little bit here.
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, kind of like the Earth stuff, like the like where they end them at Earth. Like I bet we'll get back to at some point. But like, is there going to be a real point to watch Secret Invasion? Like, I guess you got the roadie that you have to come back to, but I don't know. It just kind of feel like it never happened in the first place.
Yeah, so, they kind of ignore its existence entirely in this movie.
Yeah. Let's talk about Captain Marvel, kind of our lead here for a minute. Obviously, this is only her like third official appearance, kind of as like a year mate. Like we have Captain Marvel, we have Endgame, and now we have here. I was very excited to get more Captain Marvel. I like the Captain Marvel movie. I don't think it's perfect. I genuinely really it's a fun popcorn flick type movie. I think it's fun. But I did think this was a big movie for her to kind of win over some of the audience. Because there is so much hate with her past appearances. And two, she just hasn't had a lot to work with in the past. Like they haven't given her a lot. What was your kind of opinion on her in this in particular film?
So I like that they let her loosen up a little bit, because she was kind of like uptight and strict in the other ones. They have a good reason for it, because she doesn't know who she is.
Sure.
And she's trying to rediscover who she was. Because in the flashbacks, we get to see more of this kind of Carol in the first one. So now getting to the point where she can actually start to loosen up, and especially pairing her with Monica and Kamala to like get her to be able to like open up and like have important connections with people. It was nice to see her like get a little bit more to do and have a little bit more range of emotion.
No, I think I definitely, and it's not really an issue for me. Like I do think a bit of the issue kind of with the movie is that there were so many different things kind of going on. Like it was a bit of a Captain Marvel sequel, it was a bit of a Miss Marvel sequel, it was a bit of a WandaVision sequel. And I think for the most part, they do streamline it pretty well and kind of like capsulizing it all. I do wish we could have got a little bit more with her and a little bit of a stronger arc, but I really do like kind of seeing the transition and literally getting to see her grow from the last movie to Endgame to here, and how she is like, it makes sense why her I guess attitude. I don't want to say attitude, but like why that has changed so much from the last time. She's literally getting her memories back, and we get to see that transition. And I loved the like mentorship Carol. Like I think her and Kamala, a great duo. I really want more of that. I think they work really well together.
They bounced off of each other so well because they're
well.
both very comedic actresses too. So like they had very good chemistry, and like you could tell that like it really felt real how much Kamala looked up to Carol, especially because of how much Iman Vellani looks up to Brie Larson. Like that like translated very well into the movie.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we could talk about Miss Marvel here as well. Like I even the people who don't like this movie love her. It's so apparent. She is, for me at least, the star of this movie. She is the like glue that holds it all together and holds it as this just really fun project. And getting to see that's literally just Iman. Like Miss Marvel and Iman. Like the line between Iman and Kamala are very thin. Like I feel like they're almost one and the same at certain point. There's like interviews that have come out, and it's like, are you in character right now, or is this just you geeking out over Robert Downey Jr.? Like it's so good. She's so good. She's such a joy. And the fact that this is her first role ever. Like she's never done another acting gig. Like Miss Marvel was it. She is so good. I'm so excited to see where we take her kind of going forward.
Yeah, she was definitely my favorite part. She was the part that I was looking forward to the most, so I was easily the most excited for her. But I was also a little bit scared just because I've had characters that I love handled by different directors, and they feel slightly different between the movies. So I was a little worried that we were going to get that with Kamala, but no, she was like ripped straight out of her show, right? Plopped into the Marvels. And I feel like that's a lot on Nia DaCosta because she was like asked which of the characters that she like related to most. She said Kamala. She like really cares about Kamala. So once I heard that, I'm like, okay, maybe I don't have to be so worried because she's got it. She can handle it. She knows the character. And then she did. She was great. Kamala was amazing. Perfect.
I also think it helps that like Iman was there on set as well, because like from things that we've heard, it seems like she was always being like, oh yeah, in this comic she does this, and if you need any information about Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel or whatever, like she has it there on set. So I don't know if she would have let them like do her character
she
wrong.
Would not let them mess her up bad.
Yeah,
like she's gonna have to like give some things like with the Young Avengers thing, which we can maybe talk about later or whatever.
Yes.
But like, so she had to like give some, but she's not going to let them screw up Kamala. She cares about the character way too much to let them. She cares.
She's so good. She makes me just. I want just let her have whatever she wants in the MCU. Like let her. Like there's been a lot of people. There's been a lot of people who said that she should take over for Kevin Feige. I was like, sure, but she's not a CEO. Like, maybe don't give her that position, but like, let her like be the head of like creative or something.
Yeah, be like a consultant.
100%. Like, she should have that role and be like, okay, Kamala. I mean, not Kamala.
Iman. They're the same person.
Yeah, they're the same.
Like, interchangeable.
Yeah, it's like, okay, what do you think fans would like within these next 5 years? Like, what are some storylines that you think fans would really enjoy? And I think she's the perfect balance. Like, I don't know if you had seen that like new rock stars thing that she was on recently.
It's on my watch list. I haven't gotten around to that one yet. I watched the Seth Meyers one recently, but I've been meaning to get around to the new rock stars one.
Oh, it's so good. Like half the interview,
if I'm ever like sad or anything, I just put on an Iman Vellani interview, and she's just the best.
The whole time, it's just like her forgetting she's in the movie. She's just like nerding out with them, talking about it's like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, and like, oh, like they should definitely do this, and oh my gosh, like it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, she should just go talk to them about whatever she wants them to do.
Oh yeah, it's so.
She's got to have some sway at this point.
100%. Let's talk about Monica as well, because like Monica, of course, came from the WandaVision show. I really liked her in that show. I thought she was a lot of fun there. It didn't like blow me away or anything. I just kind of wanted to see more from her. How do you think she kind of fit into this kind of trio? Because again, like I knew that those two would be really good. I was very curious to see how she would kind of fit into the mix. And her kind of, and I feel like I would argue she has the strongest arc in the movie out of these three. She has the kind of the most biggest kind of like most important arc here. Yeah,
I loved her interactions, especially with Carol, because like I was ever since like they established in WandaVision that she was kind of like icy towards Carol because for whatever reason that we didn't like quite know exactly yet. I was looking forward to seeing how they were going to develop that, and like I think that they did a great job of making her feel like first of all feel like the kid actress from Miss Marvel, sorry, Captain Marvel. All these Marvel names, they get like confused in my head sometimes. But like she felt like a natural continuation of that character's arc and of her arc from WandaVision. Overall, I think they did a great job like carrying characters from TV shows into the movie. Because like between Kamala and Monica, they both felt like plucked right out of that and carried on naturally, which is like not super easy to do when you have different teams behind the things. But then her with Kamala, they just like, I love how they like got along well.
Yeah.
It's been a little while since I've seen the movie. I meant to revisit it. I was going to go last night, but I didn't have time. And I was going to go the night before that, but I also didn't have time. I'm going to try to go today if I have time. But I want to revisit it. I've been meaning to. I need to try and help it in any way I can.
Yeah, I would. Oh man, I'm probably not going to make it again. But it is a movie I kind of want to watch again, and I think that is a testament because, like, I feel like I got a little bit of hate where I put it because I have it kind of like in the middle of my like Marvel kind of ranking, and it's not a bad thing. I like Marvel movies, like I like Marvel films, but like there is movies that I have above, like I have this above a lot of MCU movies I like because I do think maybe from a filmmaking standpoint, maybe it's not like the greatest cinematic masterpiece of all time, but I think these three carry it up so much for me that I will rewatch this movie over a lot of other MCU movies, I think, because I do think
it's on Disney Plus. It's on repeat for me until the end of time.
Yeah, I am 100% rewatching it when it comes to like Disney Plus. So I'm excited. I love this trio. We are kind of heading towards the end here, but so I do kind of want to talk about the endings of the movies. We have a cliffhanger kind of ending, not cliffhanger, but setup ending. And also there's a post-credit scene. So on social media, you have been very passionate about the Young Avengers and how they should do the champions instead of the Young Avengers, correct?
Or in addition, just not getting rid of the champions.
Sure. Yeah, is that something that you want to talk about like really quick and what your feelings on that? Because I'm not a massive comic reader. I don't know much of the difference. Like I've heard some people talk about it. Amon talked about it, how like that's her favorite, like how she prefers them over the Young Avengers. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, Logan's gonna like that. So kind of like, what's your kind of opinion on this whole kind of situation?
So basically, I don't know that much about the Young Avengers because Kamala's not on that, so I don't care as much. But I do know a bit about the champions. So the Young Avengers, I assume, are some sort of an offshoot of the Avengers, or just like a team of younger Avengers who take up the name Young Avengers. The champions are formed after Kamala, Miles, and Sam Nova were on the Avengers. They thought that the Avengers weren't doing enough to help people. They were like stopping, like they were punching the bad guys, but they weren't helping the civilians afterwards. And Sam and Miles got fed up with that a little bit quicker than Kamala because Kamala still like believed in heroes. So they left, and then Kamala was the only one of those three on the Avengers. And then she finally had enough when they wouldn't help. I can't remember exactly what happened because I just read the book like a few months ago. I've started Champions somewhat recently. I haven't gotten too far into it yet, but I love it so far. But they won't like help repair the damage that they did to stop a bad guy. And then Kamala's like, you know what? That's it. I'm done. And then she decides that she wants to create her own team that will actually do like make a difference rather than just like stopping the villains. So they are very different in terms of like what they stand for, especially because she made the team to get away from the Avengers, but now in the MCU they're putting her on a team called the Avengers that's not the Avengers. So it's like it feels like super surface level to be like, oh, we have two teams of kid Avengers, let's put them together, when the creation of the champions is more nuanced than that. And I'm a little iffy on that because Kate Bishop is one of my favorite characters in the MCU. Haley Steinfeld is one of my favorite actresses of all time. She's great. I love her. And I love Iman Vellani and Kamala Khan. So seeing them together got me a little bit excited. But if it means, and especially with Kamala starting the team, it feels like they're like rushing her arc to champions. But also skipping it, because like they did a little bit of the setup for her feeling like they're not doing enough with the Skrulls when they were evacuating, and then she's like, "There's more of them, they're gonna die, but we have to save who we can." Like that felt like a good way to like set up the idea of her joining the Avengers and then getting disenfranchised with them and then starting the Champions. But it seems like they're kind of skipping that, which disappoints me a little bit as a Champions fan. But maybe they'll do it where instead of it's the Avengers, she leaves the Young Avengers, but then it's weird for her to create that team and leave it. So I have a lot of thoughts about this. I could make a whole podcast just talking about Kamala and her adaptation in the MCU. Because ever since reading the comics, my opinions on her have changed slightly. Not that much. I still like, I can get past the power change. I don't love it, but I can get past it, unlike some other Kamala stands out in the Miss Marvel fandom on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like ever since reading the comics and stuff, I've like kind of gotten into that side of Twitter a little bit, and it's been interesting. It's been fun though, seeing a lot of people who are as passionate about this character as I am.
Sure.
But I can get past some of that stuff, but like this is kind of bothering me a little bit. Not enough to ruin the movie. I still love the movie, but it's just iffy.
Sure.
Love to see how they develop it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the MCU does this a lot. I think when it comes to the comic book storylines, like the MCU definitely, from my understanding, hasn't always been the most comic book accurate. And again, as someone who doesn't read a lot of Marvel comics, it isn't something that inherently has bothered me, but it does kind of seem like Miss Marvel fans are getting the short end of the stick a little bit with the whole, I mean, first the power change, which was a big deal when that happened. Then the mutant stuff, which I personally kind of like the whole mutant stuff. Again, I don't read Miss Marvel comics, but I kind of liked the idea of her being a mutant. And then obviously the Young Avengers thing, which I've seen you and a lot of other people talk about. I think from a marketing standpoint, from a studio, I understand wanting to call them the Young Avengers, right? Like from that standpoint of them being like,
because the Avengers
are popular.
Recognition. The Champions don't. Yeah, they
100%.
should, but they don't.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think they're gonna really blend into like I think once the Avengers movies come out, I think they might set up Young Avengers, and I think that might be a separate team. But I think by the Avengers movies, they're almost just gonna blend into one, kind of how like Guardians are a whole separate group of heroes, but in the Avengers movies, they're just Avengers. Like everyone's kind of just an Avenger.
Yeah, so, especially in Endgame when they're all dead and Rocket's just with the Avengers.
With the Avengers, yeah. So I have a feeling that might happen. I'm curious, where do you think? And of course, I know you want the Champions, but like, where do you think we're gonna officially see the Young Avengers? Do you think they're gonna get a movie, a show? Or are they just kind of gonna show up as like this established team somewhere else? What do you think we're gonna kind of do with that?
I hope that they get a movie. I hope that they're not like too scared now with this movie underperforming that it wouldn't. But like, there's people love Kamala, and Haley Steinfeld has a built-in fan base already, just as an actress and as a musician. So like, I think that they could carry a movie. I would love to see if they would, if they actually are going to be mixing the Young Avengers and the Champions. I want to see more Champions than just the two that are rumored right now with Riri and Kamala. Like, I would love it if they introduced Sam Nova at some point. That would be cool. I still feel like it's too early for Miles, which I know is kind of an unpopular opinion.
Oh, yeah. I
really want to see Miles, but I want Peter to get through at least some of college before we get another Spider-Man. But I also want them to fast track it a little bit, just so like we don't like lose Kamala before that, because like it's weird that they have Kamala introduced, but Peter is still in college, so they need to like find a way to make it not feel rushed, but also give us Kamala and Miles and Sam, because those three, if you put those three in Riri on the Young Avengers, I'll be mostly satisfied with the Champions representation. Like, I mean, in an ideal world, I would have a Champions like movie series by themselves. But if we have to combine them, just get more Champions on the team instead of just Riri and Kamala.
Yeah, I'm gonna be very curious, and like, I will say, like, that aside, I am very excited to see these characters combined together. Like, this is something I have just been excited. Kate
Bishop and Kamala are gonna have some really good chemistry. I'm looking for
like,
because like the Captain Marvel fan and then the Hawkeye, like they can like bounce off each other with. Because I'm sure Kamala loves all the Avengers, so I'm sure she'll have some opinions on Hawkeye. And then Kate can like give some personal stories about working with Hawkeye, and then
I'm so
great.
excited to see Kate Bishop again. Kate Bishop's been one of my favorite. I mean, both of these characters, Miss Marvel and Kate Bishop, are up there for me as one of my favorite new MCU characters.
They're my two favorite new MCU characters. It goes Kamala and then Kate and then everybody else.
They're so good. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with it. I personally kind of like, not the way they have been doing the shows, but I kind of like the idea of like a series, like a 8-episode show, if done right, obviously. And not that they couldn't also be in the movies and stuff like that, but I think there are so many characters. Like, it seems like they're gonna have a lot of characters to kind of juggle between. I would love like 8 hours of content over like 2, you know. So
I'm all for series over movies for like instead of like, I've seen some people, like one of my Twitter mutuals really wants them to do a Miss Marvel movie instead of a season 2, but I'm like, no, if they can, like, there are rumors or whatever of them like revamping how they make shows, so if they actually are doing that, then please give me season 2 of Miss Marvel. Make it like 8 to like 12 episodes long. Like, there are some things I want them to adapt. Iman Vellani's come out and said what she wants them to adapt, and I agree with her. That's a great idea. So like, more series, like, it's more content you get, especially if they I hate the binge model, so like I really hope they keep doing the weekly releases. Like, I know they're not doing that for Echo, so I'm a little disappointed in that, but as I want them to keep that up for other things. Like, if they do a Miss Marvel season 2, please give us weekly releases and longer season. It'd be great.
100%. I mean, that was kind of my issue with the first Miss Marvel season. It was like, I really liked it, but it needed to be longer. Like, there was just
like 1 or 2 more episodes. There
was just like not enough time to do everything. So I would love like a 13-episode season. Like, I think, and she's a character that fits perfectly in that model of just like your kind of superhero show where each week they're fighting kind of a new villain and you have an overarching villain. Like, I think it worked perfectly for her. But we also have the post-credit scene of the movie. I've been actually seeing some very mixed opinions on the scene. What was your kind of reaction to like this moment inside the movie?
So what I hate about these like surprises is that Twitter being Twitter, they're on the internet like 3 weeks before the movie even comes out. Like, I didn't get to have my like initial reaction that I wanted to, because I had seen it like 2 or 3 weeks beforehand. So my initial reaction was, great, I saw this before the movie came out. Then in the theater, I'm like, this is what I expected. But in terms of how I would have reacted if I hadn't had it spoiled, I had the same thing with Kate Bishop, honestly. Like, I'd seen that beforehand too. It's annoying. But I love the design they went with Beast. Like, I love the X-Men, and I think that he looked great. I don't care that he was CGI. I didn't expect Kelsey Grammer to sit down in the makeup chair for 5 hours just to film like a 2-minute scene. Like, that would have been 1-2 days shooting tops. Like, put him in a mocap suit and let him, like. Then I've seen other people say like, okay, well then just don't have the Fox X-Men people cameo. And I'm like, why not? This is the multiverse. Like, we had Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in No Way Home with like Alfred Molina and all of that. It was great. Like, I would be more upset about them going back to the nostalgia banks if that was the only way that they were doing this. But it's not, because like in Loki, we saw the different variants of like the boastful Loki and the alligator Loki and the kid Loki. So they're not just doing, let's bring back these guys and so they can point at the screen and go, hey, look, it's that guy I know. But so I like that they're like mixing it and like trying to be a little bit creative with the multiverse. It's not been the most creative with the multiverse, but it's fun to see characters that you liked from previous things show up again and interact with characters you never expected them to. Like, I never expected the X-Men, especially those X-Men, to interact with anybody from the MCU. But now we've got Xavier in Multiverse of Madness, and we're about to get Wolverine and Deadpool together in Deadpool 3, and who knows who's all going to show up in that. So it's exciting. It's nice.
Yeah, I'm so guilty because like we talk about a lot on the internet how like, oh, we shouldn't just want callbacks and cameos and stuff like that. And I agree. But when it comes to the X-Men, I'm so guilty. Like Xavier, I'm like, oh my god, like
man, I'm dying to see Hugh Jackman again. Like, I'm
a
Wolverine fan. Hugh Jackman's the best. Logan might be the best comic book movie ever made. So like, I know that should make me like hesitant about having Hugh Jackman come back. But as soon as they show me him in the costume, it's like, I'm done. I'm there day one. I'm gonna see this like 7 times.
Yeah, no,
Hugh Jackman, yellow suit. It's amazing.
I hadn't heard about Beast. Like, I had some people be like, "Who do you want to appear at most in the movie?" And I saw people talking about Beast. I was like, "Beast? Why would Beast be in the Marvels?"
It would be confusing, yeah, if you hadn't heard anything. Like, why do you want Beast? Like, any X-Men, you should want Rogue in the movie.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So when he appeared, I was like, and there was no one else in my theater. I was like, "Oh my god!" I was very happy. I was very
which was
excited.
surprising.
Yeah, no, we're finally getting like proper. I've been wanting X-Men content forever. We've been so starved of X-Men in live action.
I'm so excited to get the X-Men. I need to see what they do with them in the MCU. There's some characters who got like sidelined in the Fox movies that I really want to see them shine.
100%, 100%. I'm so ready for X-Men content. I honestly, there's a part of me that kind of wants to skip over the saga and just go to the X-Men and Fantastic Four stuff, because
we gotta wait for like legal reasons. Like, they can't recast the X-Men yet, but soon they can. But there's some that they shouldn't recast, like Deadpool. Keep Ryan Reynolds. Like, nobody.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds. Yeah. I think
there's no way. Like, Deadpool 3 is just going to be about them getting Ryan Reynolds into the MCU.
100%.
What I'm curious about is, what are they going to do about Wolverine? Like, are they gonna? Because like, I remember one of the reasons why Hugh Jackman came back is because he had, right after he quit, he saw like the trailer, the movie of Deadpool, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that looks fun. I want to do that. I want to do that again." So he kind of like regretted quitting. So if he would be open to coming back, I wouldn't be upset if Hugh Jackman was our MCU Wolverine.
Oh, interesting. I kind of want someone new. I
do kind of want someone new. Like, I'm not going to be upset either way, but like, there's just, nostalgia doesn't work too well on me with that kind of stuff. Eventually it did. Like, I wasn't like super into the idea of No Way Home being multiverse.
Sure.
So like, that didn't really affect it until like my fourth viewing, when that's when I started getting emotional seeing Alfred Molina and Tobey Maguire together. But there's something about Hugh Jackman's Wolverine that gets me just like so excited. Like, I want to see him interact with everyone, like all three of the Spider-Man. I want to see him interact with, if they bring back Chris Evans, I want to see him interact with Captain America, like Iron Man, everybody. Just put Hugh Jackman with everybody and just let him be Wolverine.
I'm so excited. Like, it's been like an awkward kind of, like, these next couple years I think will be kind of awkward for the MCU and kind of what they're doing, but Deadpool 3, man, I'm here for it. I'm excited to see Hugh Jackman back. I'm ready. But with that being said, we are going to start to kind of wrap up the stream here. Logan, thank you so much for coming on here. Thank you so much for chatting with me about this movie and the Superman stuff and the X-Men. This was such a fun time.
Thanks for having me. I'm always happy to talk about this kind of stuff, especially Kamala.
100%, man. This was a blast. Where can people find you? Like where are you located?
All right. Well, I'm on Twitter at Diamond Spider P. That's my main social media. I've got other things. I have YouTube at Diamond Spider Productions. I upload like stop motion shorts. I'm currently in the process of potentially writing a Christmas special. I do a Christmas special almost every year for stop motion.
Hell yeah, man.
If I get to finish this one, if you like the Marvels, you would like this, because it's very the Marvels. I'm not going to say too much about that because I'm not sure if it's actually going to get made. But yeah, those are the main places that I'm active.
100%. Links to both Twitter and his YouTube are linked down below. So if you guys want to check all that stuff out, go do that. I watched a couple of like your stop motion stuff. Some really cool stuff, man.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work and all that. And yeah, guys, thank you everyone who popped in today. We had a couple people chat with us. We had Kai, we had Lance, we had Marty Moose up here earlier. Thank you, everyone. I hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving. I hope that's tomorrow, which is insane.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it really snuck up on us, but I hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving. Eat a bunch of food, have fun. Don't think about the past that gave us Thanksgiving. That's not
yeah, just be thankful for now, not for
100%. But guys, I will see y'all on the flip side. Bye bye.